Hi, folks. I'm, I'm Richard Friedman, and welcome to my political cartoon countdown for April 26, 2021. Every couple of weeks or so, we get together and we do the countdown based upon the popularity score on Twitter. And these are cartoons that are politically up to date, things that are happening now, done in a way that it's funny and informative and not meant to attack anybody or provoke anybody, just to be funny and make you think. And that's really what it's all about, what I'm trying to do. So, anyway, before we get started, I wanted to show you my most recent book. I have a series of political cartoon books on the Trump presidency, starting with 2018, and this is my last one on the Trump presidency from 2020. And I invite you to go to my website at richardsbooksofpoliticalcartoons.com, and no apostrophe on the Richards, just plain old Richards Books of politicalcartoons.com, and there you'll see my all my books and samples of my cartoons from all my books. I'll just show you one quick sample here. Here's just to go through the the characters in the book. This is a former press secretary here. Here we have President Trump. Here we have President Xi, former Vice President Trump, former President Trump, and I want to do just give you an idea here. Okay, well, I really want to get into we have a lot to cover today. So here's President Richard Nixon doing a tweet next to President Trump. And here's the Village People, with President Trump with the Village People. He sang this theme to their song, Young Man, the YMCA song. So here he is doing the YMCA song with the Village People here. I made up the own lyrics. Young man, there's no need to feel down. Young man, pick yourself off the ground. I said, young man, cause without any food. Young man, there's no need to feel screwed. Young man, are you listening to me? You can get yourself clean. You can have a good meal. Vote for Donald J. Trump, and you'll have a new deal. So that's the that was the song here. They're the Village People with President Trump. Okay, this is the book. I hope you take a look at it. If you don't want to go to my website and you haven't got the time, whatever, if you use Twitter, it's Bronx Cartoonist. It's Bronx Cartoonist, handle RJF Cartoons. I'm from the Bronx and proud of it. And every time I talk about it, I think about the days. Today we go to shopping center, we go to malls. Well, we used to anyway. We will go back to that for sure. In those days, I lived like on about 167th, 170th Street. It was off to you wanted to do something, you go out down to 167th Street, 170th Street, right off of Edward Grant Highway or University Avenue, whatever you want to call it. There's two names for that street. And you go up the hill there, and you just walk around, go to a movie, go into Woolworths, get a big thing for a kid, get a toy, My mom bought me a couple of goldfish and a car, those steel cars in the old days, and you had the cord that you push a button, the car moves. We thought that was something. You push a button, the car moves. And then nowadays, the kids have, they got even drones. They got cars that are like real, they go back, forward, they drive in them. So unbelievable. I don't want to call it it's progress for kids, in the technological sense, that they have more advanced toys, which is great. But the old days, the steel automobiles, when you play with a car, in those days, it was solid steel. I remember like my dad getting me one of these delivery cars with the trucks, deliver cars on. It was green, like a steel thing. It's stronger than the cars they make, real cars that they're making today. So I'm just reflecting back then there on 70th Street, that was the mall in those days, going down that street, and that was it. I had a good time, and that was about it. So anyway, let's get to here's the countdown. Starting off, these are 7 top cartoons on Twitter. Okay, starting off here with numero 7, number 7. Okay, now here you have, I got a lot to cover today. I'm trying to go, I'm not gonna waste any time anymore. I don't know if I wasted time, but I like to reflect on the past a little bit once in a while. Okay, here we go. Driver in pickup truck lands in his vehicle on top of Oklahoma State Capitol in protest to that state's Republican-backed bill passed and signed into law that grants immunity now to motorists who unintentionally kill or injure protesters. Well, you see a neighbor out there you don't like, he took your spot at the mall the other day or whatever, and I think I'm going to unintentionally get that guy, I'm going to go, instead of going eastbound, I'm going to go westbound. That's where he's at, and he's going to be in my way of getting on that highway. Okay, well, anyway, that's the law that passed in Oklahoma. Okay, great immunity to motorists who unintentionally kill or injure protesters under a reasonable belief that fleeing was necessary, or very necessary, to protect the motor vehicle operator from serious injury or death. He had to use the restroom, had to go to the bathroom, and I gotta go to the bathroom. Bye, that's what the law states, You could be in a dangerous situation if your bladder breaks and you have to go to the bathroom, so you have to kill somebody, to get to the restroom. It's something to joke about, but I'm just trying, like I said before, I'm trying to make you understand, make you think, and at the same time to have a little bit of a laugh. Okay, so here's the truck that he drove on to the Oklahoma State Capitol in a way protesting, save our one planet. Maybe he was a global warming protest, maybe it was the water, maybe it was the air, global warming, whatever it is. He says he has save our one planet. So he has a very versatile truck here, and then he goes, beep, beep, I have a reasonable belief my life is in danger from you Republican lawmakers who back this bill. So there he is. There's a man on top of the Oklahoma State Capitol, and the people in there are and he's up there on top there, and they're all in their offices or in session or whatever, and there he is up there. He's letting people know with a beep beep that he's there, that he's arrived at the top of the Capitol, So they're in his way, and they're threatening his life. So he's got the right of way on top of the Capitol. There he goes. Let's take him across here. There he goes. Okay. That was numero 7. Numero 6. Number 6. Numero 6. Number 6. Okay. Now here, this cartoon is number 6 because I did it this morning, so it might go up to it might be number 1 in 2 weeks, but here it is, where it stands now at number 6. Okay, here we have Senator Lindsey Graham. Senator Lindsey Graham on sodium pentothal. That's truth serum, makes you tell the truth. Justifying his 2 tales of the filibuster. Graham, back in 2019, when Republicans were the majority, said, quote, I am willing to go back to the 60-vote filibuster. Now, the filibuster is the 60 votes where you can't go to the vice president and have him pass the law because you need 60 votes. So you need at least 10 people from the other party there, So here's for judicial to go 60 votes for judicial nominees. This was for judicial nominees, meaning it would apply to the Supreme Court, which former President Trump had been very concerned about getting his nominees to the Supreme Court. Okay, but only in a new presidential administration after 2020. So he wants to keep, basically, he's saying here, I'm willing to go back. He don't want he wants to keep it as it is, with no filibuster. But it's okay if you bring the filibuster back after President Trump. We don't know whether President Trump is going to win or lose at that point, but he might be speculating, well, it still may not, he might not win. So if he's not, if he had won, then he would have come up with another deal for sure. But this way, he's kind of hedged himself pretty good there. He can't. So I am willing to go back to the 60-vote filibuster not now. I want to keep it here where you can't use the filibuster now for judicial nominees. You see, judicial nominees, because he was the chairman of the Judiciary Committee, Lindsey Graham here. So he was speaking from power to that extent, for judicial nominees, but only in new president administration after 2020. After 2020, he'll go to the filibuster. Very, very, okay? And after Graham today now says, I call on the Republican Party to use all the tools in the toolbox to curb filibuster reform. Take out everything you got, everything you got to stop filibuster reform. You see, and praising two Democratic senators for rejecting their party's efforts. Joe Manchin was one, and and there was another Democratic senator who also rejected the idea of doing away with the filibuster for now, reforming the filibuster. You see, they wanted to do away with it, but the Democrats were willing to compromise and reform. You see, reform the filibuster means we're going to work with the filibuster for the betterment of the country. We're not going to take it away. We're going to work there to try to make sense of that for the American people. Now, reform the filibuster. What does that mean? It could mean basically that you're going to say, well, okay, we can use the 660. We could go to the 60 vote filibuster, providing that the opposing party comes forth with information that is worthy of consideration for the filibuster. And you have a bipartisan commission set that up, and then you got a reformed filibuster, you see? But that's not, that could have been as simple as that, Simple as that. No, they want to use every tool to stop reform of the filibuster. So that's the key word here. To stop reform. You see, that's what Lindsey's saying here. You don't want nothing. You tamper with that filibuster now. No, not a good time for that. So anyway, all the tools in the toolbox to curb filibuster reform. There it is. Okay, and praising two Democratic senators for rejecting their party's efforts. Joe Manchin was one of them. We saw him on television yesterday. So anyway, a lot of times he sounds a little bit like a Republican, but that's all right. It's Joe Manchin. He's from West Virginia. The guy's lucky to be he got elected. So anyway, that's another story. Okay, for rejecting their party's efforts to eliminate the filibuster. So he praised these two senators for rejecting their party's efforts to eliminate the filibuster. Okay, so he's proud of them. If they would have said, okay, let's reform the filibuster. Okay, that he wouldn't have been too proud of that. We keep it, but we'll modify it to work for the American people. Well, Lindsey wouldn't have gone for that one, So here's Lindsey getting his injection of sodium pentothal truth serum. And here's what he's come up with. The doctor giving him the injection. He's getting his injection there. There he is, with a thumbs up. There he is getting his injection of sodium pentothal. There he is. Oh, that didn't even hurt, Okay, back in 2019, here he is. So he's saying this is Lindsey on sodium pentothal. Again, this is justifying his tale of two filibusters, because here in 2019 he said one thing back there, and now he's saying something else. So basically, he's justifying the two tales, which comes out to be, as I read it, you'll see what I'm saying. Back in 2019, when we Republicans controlled the Senate, a 60-vote filibuster could have given the Democrats the power to block President Trump's conservative packing of the Supreme Court. So Lindsey didn't want to mess. We wanted to keep no filibuster allowed when they had the majority for President Trump and for Republicans as well to get their Supreme Court nominees on the bench. They may have been thinking ahead to the election. If it goes down to the Supreme Court and there's a contest, they may have been thinking, I don't say there were, but may have been, or part of it, So anyway, okay, packing the Supreme Court. Today, former President Trump, this is Lindsey still, former President Trump wants to pack the House and Senate with Republicans with the help of the Republican-controlled states restricting voter rights. We know that in states now, if you go up to somebody with a pizza and a Coke and they're waiting in line to vote, you could be arrested and have a record for the rest of your life. It could be a misdemeanor, You know, I made a cartoon about that where, I made a cartoon where Domino's Pizza masqueraded as a police vehicle, and he baited the guy to take the pizza, and it was an empty box, and he took it and he got arrested for possession of a pizza box in the area of a polling, possession of a pizza box, attempting to deliver pizza was a minor charge that would have been a slight misdemeanor, So anyway, we need the filibuster to block federal rights. So what they're doing here is they're saying Republicans with the help of Republican-controlled states restricting voter rights. We need the filibuster to block federal rights voting laws. That's what Lindsay's saying on this Sodium Pentothal. He's doing a lot of good. He's doing a lot of good. He's coming out with the truth. This is just one tail. So up here I said a tail, says on sodium pentothal drug, justifying his two tails of the filibuster. So he's justifying his two tails. For once he said that, and then in 2019 there's this, and in 2020, after President Trump was out of power, he's former president now, he's saying something else. We just got to keep that filibuster. No, we can't touch it. We can't touch an inch of the thing. We can't do with that filibuster. Now he's just the opposite. Before he was willing to say. So anyway, here is the idea. This is just one tail. That's the punchline, because it is one tail. That is the truth. It's one tail. To number one was to have the majority to get the Supreme Court nominees, and number two was to get the Republicans back in control of the Senate, and to get control of the House and Senate, basically. Okay, so that was the one tail. It's a one tail. It's control. That's the one tail. Control of government. That's control. You know what you got there? You got a dummy democracy. A democracy that's eating itself up with using the laws of its own making to like escape from freedom. If you read that book about what happened in Germany, I don't want to go too far with that one, but I'm just saying to you here, this is kind of an amusing way of making you think. Okay, I ain't going to say anything like that. So I just kind of just skiing along, on the waves, riding the waves, and making you think and laugh at the same time. Okay? There's Lindsey Graham getting a shot. Did wonders for him. Got to admit, from this thing, when he's put this through, that sodium pentothal did him a lot of good. Like as good as a double shot of the Pfizer or the Moderna. Or whatever you want to say. I don't want to go there either. So anyway, here is I don't think Lindsay's going to need a double dose of sodium pentothal. I think one dose will be good enough for him. From what he said here, he don't need a double dose. He's fine right now with what he said here. That's good enough. He's going to need a second shot. Okay, here's Lindsay. All right. There's the doctor here, and he thumbs up. Okay, numero cinco. I think we're at numero cinco here, number 5. Okay, here we have Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene scraps plans for launch of her America First caucus, suggesting in below tweet she plans to move forward in support of former President Donald Trump's America First agenda. So what she's saying here she is Mary. I almost said Mary Tyler Moore. Wow, that would have been missing the mark by a long shot. Marjorie Taylor Greene. Marjorie Taylor Greene, and here she is on a website with the American flag and everything. Here she is. There she is. Eyes wide open. There she is there. American flag. With a tweet. Here she's saying, I have plans to, so she's not going to establish her American First caucus. She decided against that. Probably she was gently persuaded by some of the Republicans who never spoke out against it publicly, but they probably behind the curtains shut her up some way. She wasn't going to get any finance money or something like that. So anyway, to run her elections. Anyway, I have plans to drive President Trump's America First agenda with my congressional colleagues, but we won't let the media or anyone else push the narrative. We're going to keep the media out of this for sure. America First policies will save this country for all of us, our children, and ultimately the world. Now she's talking the world. Sounds like a Winston Churchill, you know. The world is at stake here. The world will never forget our. Here she is, emulating Winston Churchill. So President Trump, former President Trump, watching this, he's saying, here's what he's saying here. If former Trump watches reading this tweet from Marjorie Taylor Greene. He reads the tweet and he says, I predict Marjorie Taylor Greene from this fantastic tweet will one day go down in history with me, with him, and Winston Churchill. Maybe they'll build statues for place on the Mount McKinley for Winston Churchill. No, I won't. Winston Churchill wasn't American; he was a British Prime Minister, so it can't go that way. But maybe somewhere. You know, it won't be in Britain, that's for sure. And so I guess that one's out. But anyway, this is what he's putting himself into the category of Winston Churchill, me, and Marjorie Taylor Greene. And here's Winston: keep calm and carry on. So that's what he used that. So remember when President Trump said keep carry on, he compared himself to Winston Churchill during the Blitz over London when there were the Nazi Luftwaffe led by Herman was dropping all those bombs, you know. So Herman Goring, might as well get. So anyway, they were dropping all those bombs, the Luftwaffe on Germany. So he felt that he stood up. He stood up to Herman. Winston stood up to Herman, and he said, keep to the people, keep calm and carry on. So he identified with his way of dealing with the coronavirus. He's telling everybody keep calm and carry on, you know. But he didn't say everybody go take cover, go underground, go into the station. He said everybody go out and go to the movies, have a good time, and go to the beaches, you know. So I don't know. Anyway, that's the little bit of humor here. In that this sounds a little bit like for all of our children and ultimately the world. She's placing this as a real, her movement, she sees it as a world-changing event, her movement. So it sounds like a little bit like a Winston Churchill, which President Trump might have picked up on. So there she is. Yeah, okay. You know, in picking a lot of people now, pick a woman, so she might be the next, if she stays clear and stays out of the bad stuff, she could be former President Trump's vice president nominee, you know, in 2024. You know, you never know. She could be right up there, you know, ready to take over, you know, go off a bit, something. Well, anyway, so here she is, and that's her tweet. And there's the American flag. And there it is. There's Winston. There's Winston Churchill. Keep calm and carry on. And here's former President Trump pointing up to her tweet. Admire in admiration. Okay, we're moving along here. Okay, I think this is numero cuatro, number 4. Okay. Now here we got, you can recognize Jim Jordan, and here we have Maxine Waters, and they got into Jim Jordan, he got into a hassle with Anthony Fauci, an argument about his rights, his human rights being taken away because he had to wear a mask and things like that. His personal liberties of not wearing a mask and doing things that he wanted to do, restrictions. So he going out to bars and nightclubs. So he was in an argument with Dr. Fauci over that, and so Maxine Ward they're both representatives, okay, in the House. And during the session, they were interviewing Dr. Anthony Fauci, and so Jordan went after Anthony Fauci on his personal personal rights, personal liberties. And so I guess Anthony Fauci was trying to tell him, well, look, what good are personal liberties if you're lying in a morgue, and you die from this stuff. But anyway, so here is President Trump, and Representative Maxine Waters said to Jim Jordan, he said, keep your mouth shut. You need to respect the chair and shut your mouth. So she said that to him. So that caught the media and got my attention. So I figured I'd do a cartoon about that. So here they are, Jim Jordan and Maxine Waters and here's President Trump at Mar-a-Lago watching this here. And he's putting his thumbs up for Jim Jordan, and he's putting pointing his finger to his head about Waters, Maxine Waters, saying she's a low IQ person. As he did before that, he had done that, pointed his finger when he made reference to her to his forehead, when he called her a low IQ person. He's doing two things here, giving thumbs up to Jim Jordan and pointing his finger to his head in reference to Maxine Waters. And there's Mar-a-Lago, try to make it as beautiful, capture the beauty of the place, in a picture there. Okay. This is unbelievable. Low IQ person Representative Maxine Waters tells my next term Secretary of Health and Human Services Representative Jim Jordan to shut up. And I know Jim Jordan, has a higher IQ than the great Dr. Fauci. High IQ, he knows that. He tested them both. They were IQs. Jim Jordan, much higher IQ. He didn't say this. I'm, kind of ad-libbing him. Okay, and from his past performances. Let's put it that way. Jim will also replace Dr. Fauci. So if former President Trump is elected, you can say goodbye to Dr. Anthony Fauci in the next Trump administration, and he's going to put in here Representative Jim Jordan, okay, as Secretary of Health and Human Services. He's going to be your next Health and Human Services man, and he's also going to be on the coronavirus task force as well. So he's going to be a very busy man if former President Trump gets reelected in November 2024. So there you have it. Representative Jim Jordan, former President Trump, and Representative Maxine Waters. And one last shot at Mar-a-Lago. Okay. Okay. I'm proud of that. It took a lot of work to do that. Okay. Now, here we have an interesting cartoon. We have Russian President Putin watching from the Kremlin, latest Sean Hannity interview with former President Trump. Given the former doubled down on his great relationship with Putin. Also, the Kremlin has denied any role in recent hacker attacks on U.S. government bodies and companies. So it was a massive attack. President Putin has denied any involvement, and he's made that he's been very consistent with his denials, and here he is again denying that. And here is former President Trump in his first interview as a former president on Hannity, on Fox News show on Hannity. Okay, Sean Hannity show. Okay, exclusive interview with former President Trump. Hannity, here he is. And there you got Hannity, Fox News emblem, and there he is. And there's President Putin watching it. He's got his Trump 2020 for balloon holding that. And former President Trump says, I got along great with President Putin. This is word for word. I listened to it 5 times to believe my, I had to listen to it 5 times to make sure I wasn't screwing up and making up my own thing, you know? So I got along great with President, word for word, I got along great with President Putin. I liked him, he liked me, he writes me letters, I like him, he likes me. There's nothing wrong with that, okay? And here's President Putin in the Kremlin watching this. There he is. And he's saying, and there's nothing wrong with me just sending millions of these red balloons to Trump campaign 2024. So that's all he's going to do is send out these Trump 2024 balloons to the Trump campaign in the hopes that they will help former President Trump get reelected in 2024. There's nothing wrong with that. So there you have it. President Trump on Fox News, former President Trump, President Putin with his Trump 2024 balloon, ready for a million copies of that balloon to go to the Trump campaign 2024. There it is. Okay, now we're getting there. Okay, here we go. Events of former President Trump saying the coronavirus vaccine should be called a Trump scene. That's what President Trump said. Former President Trump said it should be called a Trump scene. And the Johnson & Johnson vaccine cause. And the 2 events happened here to this man who's a hypochondriac, and he visits his psychiatrist weekly or so, or every month or whatever, and he suddenly got in a very bad hypochondriac. Meaning, hypochondriac is somebody who always thinks they're sick, they got some disease, one or the thing or the other. It's like a never-ending cycle. So events of former President Trump saying the coronavirus vaccine should be called a Trump scene. Trump said he's responsible for the rapid development, which he could be legitimately take credit for that. I don't think there's any doubt that he could legitimately take credit for that, you know, in all fairness and honesty. Because, okay, and the Johnson & Johnson vaccine pause for very rare blood clots caused elderly man to visit his psychiatrist for hypochondria attack. Okay, so here's a psychiatrist saying to the man, Mr. Goldberg, your health anxiety is very high. I mean, he's hypochondriac. Neurosis, however you want to call it, is working him up. What is going on here? What's going on with you? You know, here he is. There's his degree in the office there. And he says, Dr. Siegeltuck, I have this terrible blood clot in my brain, because that's what happened. There's a few very rare incidences, very rare, extremely rare, of people who got blood clots in their brain from the Johnson & Johnson, and they paused it, and now the decision has been made to bring it back onto the market. You know, so they now reverse themselves, basically. Okay, I don't know if it was, maybe not. Maybe they researched it further, and they came to the conclusion that it was better to have this out there and people getting protected than it was for people to die under a very rare incident rate. So that's a combination of the two, probably. Okay, so here's Dr. Siegel. Dr. Siegel, I have this Dr. Siegel, he's talking to a psychiatrist here. He's saying, Dr. Siegeltuck, I have this terrible blood clot in my brain with a bad headache. Bad headache. He put his hand onto his head there. Very bad headache, Dr. Siegeltuck. Dr. Siegeltuck. And he says, it's the vaccine. It's the vaccine. It's the vaccine. So then Dr. Siegelberg responds to his patient, trying to calm him down, get him to focus in on the reality of the situation here, counseling him to reality. Mr. Goldberg, your medical records show you did not take the vaccine that is being paused for reported blood clots. You never took that vaccine. You took a different one. It might have been Moderna or the Pfizer or whatever. So you didn't take that one that's now, even as rare it is, you still don't, and it would be extremely rare, but you didn't even take that one. And he says, here he is. Here he goes back, and the patient retorts back, and he says, but my bad headache started when Trump said all of the coronavirus vaccines should be called Trumpsines. So he's figuring that they're all the same virus. They're all the same thing. They're all because of President Trump. He's been behind all of them, and he oversaw all these vaccines, and he's taking so much credit for it. I must have a blood clot. He's taking credit for the vaccines. So his hypochondriac condition is hyping up because of that. So that's the story there. That did very well. That was a big hit, and it was a ring of truth to it. I'm sure it could have really happened in real life with some people, thinking, oh, what have I done to myself? There it is. The psychiatrist and the patient, a hypochondriac patient, getting a terrible anxiety attack over hearing that all these vaccines could be lumped together as Trumpsines by the former President Trump. And he thinking, wow, what have I done here? I've got a blood clot in the brain now. And he didn't even take the Johnson & Johnson. Okay, numero uno de la semana. Aquí, number uno. Okay, here we have Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell nightmare. This is Mitch McConnell here having a nightmare. He's in his bed having a nightmare. There he is. There's Mitch having a nightmare. And he's having a nightmare about former President Trump campaigning with Matt Gaetz here, because President Trump called him a dumb son of a bitch the other day because he wasn't more supportive of defeating the effort to impeach the president for the second time, and he spoke against him, saying he was morally and practically responsible for this and that, for the riots at the Capitol. Mitch said that, but then again, Mitch went ahead and he voted against the impeachment. So he felt, I don't know, so there you have it there, party loyalty, you could call it that, to say the least. Okay, so here is Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell nightmare following former President Trump calling him a dumb son of a bitch during the former president's Republican donor speech at Mar-a-Lago. Nightmare. The Republican 2024 presidential ticket, Trump Gaetz attacks McConnell while campaigning in Minority Leader's home state of Kentucky. So just like Gaetz, he went over Liz Cheney. He went there to Arizona to attack Liz Cheney. Now he's going to Kentucky with former President Trump campaigning as the second man on the ticket to attack Mitch McConnell. That would fit right in there with the game plan there. So, and here is Mitch having the dream about that. There he is dreaming. There's Gaetz. There is Mitch McConnell up there, who's making a picture too. President Trump, all smiles. There is the campaign, Trump Gaetz 2024. Thumbs up. And Mitch McConnell having a nightmare. Okay, and here he is, Matt Gaetz. Take it away, mate. Matt, take it away. Here he goes. You can help us defeat this total loser here. This total loser, Mitch McConnell. You can help us defeat this total loser who represents a corrupt system by first not fighting against the impeachment of this great and now future president, and then saying he would support him for a second term. So Mitch came out and said if former President Trump gets the nomination, he will support him for a second term. Before his support, I'd rather go on a date with Representative Liz Cheney to a nude beach. Okay, so I'll let you use your imagination on that one, folks. I ain't saying nothing more to that. You just use your imagination and come up with whatever you want to think. So that's basically he's making a statement here that he would rather go on a date with Liz Cheney to a new beach than to get Mitch McConnell support for the campaign of their campaign, Trump Gates for President 2024. He's going to go on a date to a new beach with Representative Liz Cheney and have his support. They don't want his support, after that. So that's it. That's basically it. I'll take one more shot there. There's Mitch. There's Gates. There's former President Trump. There is the Trump Gates for 2024. And there's that's Mitch's nightmare, of what he's dreaming about going on in Kentucky in 2024. Okay, folks, I want to thank you very much for watching my political cartoon countdown for April 26, 2021. And you folks take care of yourself, stay well, and wish you all the best, and stay informed, and just keep listening, and don't get upset. Just take it with a, they don't say laugh at everything, but try to have a positive attitude and think about things and stay aware. And I wish you all the best. Stay well, and until next time, God bless you, and God bless America. See you next time. Take care, folks. Bye.